Okay. We're going? We're going. All right, cool. Yay. Dog check. Dog on the floor check. Cool shirt check. Everybody's here. Ready for some Houston Have a Problem. Episode 132. Clickety clack. Make sure you turn the intro off after you turn it on. Turn the intro off. Ha! Intro's off. You suckers. Hey, welcome everybody. It's Monday. It's Houston Have a Problem. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Big Dog decided to go galloping off into the woods and then got himself stuck in a patch of nettles and then didn't want to move. So, I had to get him in that. Just, you know. So I was in a towel too. I had to go through the woods in a towel because I was like, I'll let you out before I take a shower. And then here we are. Got the quick shower in. Now we're doing a show. Okay, so big news. Not too much big news on GME or AMC front. Although I do see people keep saying that they're going to discover lithium at the Highcroft mine in Nevada. They're not going to discover lithium there. That's the wrong type of rock. It's not a pegmatite. It's not evaporites. You're not going to find lithium there. So give that one up. And Elon Musk apparently rejected the board's offer after initially accepting to join Twitter. He said, no, I'm not going to. Which people are now thinking that maybe he's going to do a hostile takeover of Twitter. Because by joining the board, he would have to limit his ownership to under 20% or something. What's the other news? Oh, Sri Lanka is about to default. Another Chinese real estate company defaulted. And Russian rail defaulted. So we got those going on. There's a quick news cap unless you guys got anything else you want to throw at me. Other than that, right off the bat, there's Josh Pet Pals, Tennessee. Happy birthday. Just here to say hello. Also, what is the chance that the dividend only, by rumor, of GME is shares in a new company? Also, what are the useful materials that can be mined on Mars? There is thought that Gmerica might spin off. I don't think in this case that's what it is because they're specifically asking us to authorize increasing the number of authorized shares from 300 million to 1 billion. So I actually think that's going to be GME. But in the future, they may spin off Gmerica into a subsidiary of sorts. That's very likely to happen. But this time around, I don't think so. I think it's going to be GameStop. Useful things to be mined on Mars. Water. Only at the poles. That's about it. Mars is basalt. But while basalt does have like iron and other things in it, it is really, really hard to isolate those minerals out of basalt. So there isn't much you can mine on Mars that'd be economically useful. Mars is pretty useless when it comes to mining materials. Though I'm sure that there probably are iron nickel asteroid or meteorite remnants inside of craters that they could mine. They could probably target and get metals out of. But most of the substrate on Mars is basalt, and it's very useless. So, yeah, not too much. Not too much to mine there. But thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. I forgot to fill my water. Oh. All right, we'll just do it. We'll do a dry show today. Curious when its intro's all the way down. Hello's a vision for Houston. Infinite intros with the cancel button sadly out of service. Thank you for that curse. Hi, Frog. I was the first like of today's stream as the first time. Lol. Love your show. Great work. Thank you, Hi, Frog. Stonkonator, what do you think of Bill Pulte? I don't know say his name. Pulte? Buying in today over 6 figures worth of GME. Really? Bought GME too. He also bought Twitter. Interesting. I think that he did his research over the weekend. He spent a lot of time on Reddit, talking to people, watching videos. I don't know if you watch my videos or other people's videos, but I think he spent a lot of time researching GameStop and their relationship with Boston Consulting Group, BCG, and is like, you know what? I'm in. So that's a big whale that's now on our side. That's a big deal. So let's see where it goes. I don't think it's bad. I think it's pretty good that we've got a big whale like that coming behind us here. Tula Tulip, is there a scenario where you would sell before the dividend shares were in your account? Flow increases with the dividend. So has your first share price, sell price changed? No. I'm still aiming for that six-figure price on share number one. If we do get the chance where there's sort of two squeezes that happen, one that happens from institutions that recall their lent out shares, and then another one that happens, X many months after the dividend is issued due to failures to deliver on dividend shares for all the synthetics, then, if the price is right the first time around, why not? If the price drops and I'm able to get more, then why not? Do it again. I'll do it again. I don't care. But, it's probably good to have, maybe what I'll do is I'll pick up calls, like in the money calls, so that I have shares available post date of record somewhere in there. I don't know. We'll see. It's really hard to predict how it's all going to go. My brain is trying to spin off all these like multiverses of possibilities, and I haven't quite agreed upon like a likely vision as to how it's all going to work out. Dan Summit, curious if you are going to take screenshots as you sell shares just to make sure not to get screwed by the broker. I already have. I've got screenshots now of what I own in my various brokerage accounts. Yeah, I've got my statements that say what's there, so I'm going to go with that for sure. Because why not? Being too cautious is not a problem. Okay. Earl Honeybasket, happy Monday. Question, is there a lot of gold in Scandinavia? Yes, there is quite a bit of gold. Problem is that a lot of the good places for the gold are really cold and miserable to mine. But there's history of gold mines in Scandinavia, especially in Norway and on the leeward side of the mountains into Sweden. Oh, I forgot to turn on the Chrome part. That would help. I always hate that I have to redo that. So yeah, there's a few gold mines. Mindat, awesome page, will show you locations of various gold mines in places in Norway. So where are we here? This is not even where the mountain range is. So this is some old craton. There's mines up here, but there's lots of mines all over Norway. Let's see here. Yep, we're gonna zoom in on Norway. That's what we want. So there's old mines all over the place. There's tons of minerals to be found in this mountain range. Remember, this mountain range is the same mountain range as the Appalachians, same mountain range as the Atlas Mountains in Africa. It's ancient, it's billions of years old. It was once 30,000 feet tall, just like the Himalayas, before the Atlantic Ocean split apart and it started eroding away and glaciers started eating at it. But we've got just boatloads of gold mines and mines in general all over Norway. What are you? That's copper. That one doesn't say anything. What are you? Oh, it's crystals. Okay. Gold. Here we go. Yesna River. So it's got an alluvial gold here. Largest nugget in Norway. That's not a very big nugget. That's 17 grams, but still, that's almost an ounce. But there's if you go out there and pan streams, I don't know if you're allowed to dredge in Norway, but hit those rivers, hit those sandbars, and see what you get out of them. I'm sure you'll get there's lots of places to get gold because the Vikings got gold from places, and a lot of it was from things like this. There's a Swedish company that makes a lot of good gold equipment. It might be Husqvarna, the chainsaw guys. I think they also make gold mining equipment as well for like alluvial mining and streams. Is it Husqvarna? Shit. That's someone like that. But yeah, there's lots of gold to be found there. Go find it when it warms up. Wear a wetsuit though, because the water's still gonna be really cold. Okay. Where'd that question go? Distraction, the intro. Scandinavia, yes. After MOAS, I'm going to start making recreational gold panning trips to Lapland. Oh, that's a good idea. That'd be fun. Go up there, check that out. I bet there's gold up there too. You know, a lot of that land is really similar with the glaciations. So you get a lot of like flour gold ground up by the glaciers. That if you can find sandy beaches, which are not that plentiful in this region, but if you can find sandy beaches, look for the black sands, and I bet you'll find just loads of gold that gets concentrated in the black sands on sandy beaches in Norway. That would be my bet. Just like in Nome, Alaska, or here on the Washington coast. Okay. B-Ball 3710. Any new canary in the coal mines for market upheaval? New news with bonds. The newest news with bonds is Sri Lanka, Russian Rail, and what was the Chinese? One of the big Chinese real estate firms. I don't remember all their names. Just also defaulted on a bunch of bonds. Not bombs. Bonds. And then Bank of America said to expect the SPY to contract another 11%. And then interest rates on mortgages are going bonkers. Anyone who has adjustable rate mortgages, they are getting F'd in the A right now. Their home loans just skyrocketed. I expect to see foreclosures go up. Mortgage-backed securities are dropping like a rock right now. So there's canaries just dropping dead all over the place, and we're just like, everything's fine, we're good. Just keep that smile on your face. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on. Jonathan, your thoughts on sending our coordinates into space? No one taking Hawking's warning seriously. Do I root for the aliens or don't? What if aliens are fishes that wear mattresses? Well, Jonathan, there are two types of intelligent life. The type of intelligent life that is Star Trek Federation style, that's like, oh, welcome to the Brotherhood. And the type of life that is, I see you as a threat, I'm going to kill you. I think humans are more of a threat to the rest of space than anything. I think if there's intelligent life out there and they've come by us, they went, oh, yeah, it's a hornet's nest. Stay away from those guys. You see how much they kill each other? What are they going to do to us? We probably look like complete warring, just Vikings to them. Like, you know, they're looking down at what humans are doing to each other in Ukraine right now, and they're like, oh, yeah, we don't want to get mixed up with those things. Those things are bad news. So I have no problem with sending our coordinates out there. It's at this point, it's like it's rattlesnake rattling its tail. Watch out! That's where we are. Watch out! Black Udon, big dog ran off from Houston. Market is going to dip. Forest Fire, what do you think the price will get to during the institutional share recall after the dividend vote? Think it will reach 1,000 and just stay there, drop back down? I think if the price on GME gets to 1,000, then there's going to be defaults everywhere. It may trigger a squeeze before, the MOAS may get triggered before there's a dividend if that's the case, which would be really interesting to see who gets what shares, when, how, and why. But yeah, if the price gets to $1,000, I don't think hedge funds survive that. They just get vaporized. Space Monkey, happy birthday. I sold my entire portfolio pre-market this morning and went all in on LMNOP. What are your thoughts on this? Well, LMNOP has a very, very solid future. They got their finger in every pie. I heard that their earnings report is $1 quadrillion for the first quarter of the year. They have 100% profit, and everyone who's a shareholder gets a free sex robot from Japan. So they're a really solid investment in the future. So if you invest in LMNOP, you got it made. You probably live in a big house by now, and people lay down palm fronds in front of you as you walk down the street. Parents are naming their children after you. You just get booty calls day and night. It just never ends. So investing in LMNOP is quite possibly the greatest choice you ever made in your entire life. So good job, Space Monkey. I bow to you. Those of you who don't know what an LMNOP is, it is people are tweeting the hashtag, the $ hashtag LMNOP to screw with all the Twitter bots and bots on Reddit to get them to see what weird things they're going to start tweeting and see how the markets make. It's what they did last year with the ticker names of like ass and fart and stuff like that, and they got all these Twitter bots like these trends happening for stocks that didn't exist. So yeah, the price on boob went really high. Fisher Warden, I hate these MOS plays, but love at the same time. Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, right? That's where we are. Okay. We're almost to where I started the show. Casey Chapman, Houston, thank you for doing your show. Always very informative, and I appreciate the news and opinions you present are fact-based and not based on personal agenda. Well, I try to be fact-based. Sometimes my personal agenda may get ahead of me. I don't know. I try not to. Project Sun, apparently gold is very easy to find in Fraser River. Ever panned there? Fraser River was one of the largest gold rushes in North American history. There was lots of gold found there. Tons of mountains. If we go to the Google Earth, we can just look at the mountain ranges. It basically comes down to it is that where there are mountains, there's gold. And why is Google Earth? Oh, you're on the wrong screen. That's why. Okay. Turn on Google Earth. There we go. Okay, we're still here in the Canary Islands. That's where we left off last time. Fraser River. So, all right. See these white cap peaks here? Tons of mountains. Lots and lots of very tall, very gnarly mountains that get covered in glaciers a lot throughout the course of history. And we have the Fraser River, this bad boy here. All these mountains from both sides drain into here. And you've got lots of volcanics, lots of mountain building events, tectonic action. You have oceanic islands that smash into this thing and made mountain ranges. And so there's lots and lots and lots of gold that falls off of cliffs, falls out of quartz veins into this river and tumble downstream. And so this river just has a boatload of gold over the years. So why is my phone exploding? Sorry. Why are you exploding? Stop exploding. Okay. All right. It's my roommate. He keeps dumping all of his noodles in the sink, which is very annoying. So I told him, please stop doing that. You can see this is a mine right there. That's a huge mine. It's probably a big open pit gold mine, be my guess. Anvil Peak, Logan Lake, Mammoth Lake. You can see that from space. Like, that is huge. How big is that? So that's a gold mine that's almost 12 miles across. That is a big ass mine, man. Holy smokes. So there you go. Lots of gold to be found in these areas. So this can be the gold show. Everyone talk about gold today? We can do that. I talk about gold all day long. Okay. Protege's son, I say your name wrong? What am I supposed to say? Proteague? Like you don't, I don't. That's protege. That's how you say protege. Spell it anyway. Okay. Just methods. Does the stock split of GME impact the potential of MOAS, or are we basically getting free moon tickets? Yes. I'm going to have Radek on Wednesday. He wrote a pretty good piece on Reddit about sort of what a stock dividend means and how it gets paid out and why it could really screw over shorts. And I've talked, I talked similar ways that only so many actual shares are going to be deposited into these accounts, the ones that have legit shares in their account. So maybe 1 in 10 or 1 in 15 of the shares in your account is the real deal. Everything else is probably a synthetic, counterfeit. Even though all the shorts claim that they don't exist, they definitely exist. And the shorts are going to be responsible for finding X number of shares for each one of those synthetics that were generated in your account through those failures to deliver. And they aren't going to be able to do it. They're not going to have the finances available to buy X number of billion shares that they're going to have to. And the folks that got the legit shares in the float, let's say it's 250 million that they have. So the 250 million legit shares got deposited in everyone's account, and now we have these short hedge funds that have to come up with 5, 6, 7, 8 billion, or else if they face liquidation. That's a future they don't want. And they're going to try and figure out how to close these positions. And I don't think they can, honestly. I don't think there's a price cheap enough right now for them to close their positions. That unless the price gets to $15, I don't think they can do it. And so they'll try to hammer it down, but the minute someone starts trying to close, the price will go right back up again and screw everybody else. So they're really trapped between a rock and a hard place. Jason Blackwell. Ironically, the only novel I ever read cover to cover is the original MOAS story, The Count of Monte Cristo, Post-MOAS Guide. Huh. Never thought of it that way. Hi, big dog. Oh, don't put your head on the keyboard again, you monster. It's a good book. If you haven't read Count of Monte Cristo, folks, a great thing. Like my dad, when I was a kid, just paid X number of hundreds of dollars and got this huge collection of like all the classics. So you could read, everything from ancient Greek tragedies, Ulysses, the Odyssey, Oedipus, all the way through, classics through the 1950s or whatever. It's like hundreds of books, and it was awesome. Why? Because you don't have to go buy each book individually. It's the same words and all these things. They're all in the public domain now, so go get it and read it. You can do that. You have my permission. Just go read as much as you can. But yes, Count of Monte Cristo, definitely a good book. And goddamn dog, your hairs get into my mouth at all times of the day, and it is just like, you folks watch this show and you see these like space aliens float by the screen. It's just because this machine of a dog is just like constantly. It's in my nose. It gets on like the lens of my eye. It's everywhere. Every time I go to eat, it's just his hair. Man, come on, man. Space Monkey. Concerning GME Divvy, what keeps the market makers from just creating more shares to cover the dividend? They can't. So the way shares are created is via reg show. There's a loophole that says if you can identify shares somewhere, you can sell naked. And so you put shares up for sale, those shares sell, and then when the clearing happens, and brokerage A is supposed to give shares to brokerage B, and brokerage B is supposed to give cash to brokerage A, when that transaction is supposed to happen, brokerage A doesn't actually have the shares to give. So that prime broker has to find somewhere in their account actual shares, take those, and that's how synthetics are created. They put synthetics in their client's account and then give those shares to brokerage B in return for cash. And that's when the failure to deliver clock starts. So the person who generated that fake sale is now on the clock to find the real shares, give them to their broker, so the broker can replace the fake ones they had to make in their other client's account. And they get to T35 or whatever, they're supposed to be liquidated and forced to buy. But the other loophole is that the person who's responsible for those fake shares can do a swap with somebody else and reset the clock again. And then it goes another 35 days. And those guys do a swap. And they just move this hot potato around. So the market maker isn't necessarily directly like fabricating a share. It's the prime broker who's forced to do it because there's a failure to deliver. And so it's not like Citadel can just, put a bunch of shares in everyone's account. They don't actually have the ability to do that without there being a transaction made. And the prime broker is the one who would make that. So they can't really fill everyone's account with fake shares. There really isn't a clock associated with the dividend. That's like 35-day clock that can be moved around and swapped. It is a pretty hard target that, this is supposed to be in their account. It isn't. We have to liquidate you. And that's why we're gonna see checkmate on this. I'm sure that quit putting your head on there. Jeez, my knees. Now you're opening weird windows. What did you just open? What did you just open, you weirdo? Oh, you opened Microsoft Office. Good job. We're going to close that. Okay. Just quit putting your head on there, you monster. What was I talking about? Oh, I'm sure we'll see shenanigans. The big problem is that the Department of Justice is watching these guys really closely now. And why? Because they announced that they're watching them. They announced that they're investigating them for RICO. If you're being investigated for RICO, that means, and they announced it, that means they know that you committed racketeering. that you are an organized crime syndicate, and they've got enough evidence. What they're doing is they're now shaking the tree, waiting for others to come forward and more heinous acts to be committed. So if they do something squirrely, like fabricate a bunch of shares and somehow dump them to people's accounts during this to avoid defaulting on their capital requirements or hedge funds defaulting on their liquidity requirements, then everybody's going to prison. The SEC can't send people to prison, but the Department of Justice can. And so if the Department of Justice has been brought in at this point, they're going to be out for blood. And that's not good. It's good for us. It's not good for them. Rocket Ming, if I'm a Canadian looking at a stock that trades on both TSX and also US exchanges, should I always buy TSX to avoid exchange fees? Or what are the differences? I'm looking at AMD. Ooh. Yeah, I would buy on the Canadian exchange just to avoid having to pay an international fee for sure. Is there a big price difference between the two? If there isn't like a huge arbitrage, then I would definitely stick with the Canadian one if you could. I mean, I'm not going to reach out and try to buy AMD on the Canadian market and have to pay a $50 tax on it, or fee or whatever you want to call it. So no, there surely shouldn't be a difference. There are a few weird things like I was invested in this Zenith Capital Holdings. They were a biotech company that Pfizer wanted, and their stock was trading in Canada for, let's say, $2 a share. I can't remember what it was, but there was a weird OTC listing where some insider who had gotten a bunch of that stock and it was American sold their stock on the OTC here in the US. So there was stock trading around the OTC, and it was trading for like half the price. So I bought that. And then, whatever happened with Pfizer, and I sold it for that much profit. But there are some weird things like that happen. There can be a crazy arbitrage where maybe you're like, well, maybe $50 fee isn't that bad if I can get it for that much cheaper over here. So there you go. The DRS questions. I'm just gonna. Aviation Channel. Hi, Houston. Can Kenny swap his shorts and unload them on someone else without them knowing? Ooh. Well, I finally watched the second episode of the gaming the market or whatever, that HBO documentary, and they allude to the fact that they probably forced Melvin to jettison their position, do a swap with their position into someone who could handle it. They did a good job painting the picture that we were this close to crashing the entire market with a chain reaction of defaults if Robinhood had not shut off the buy button. But what they didn't talk about is that this squeeze is still happening. They didn't talk about how the price went back to 350 again, 2 times already in that documentary. And I don't think, that doesn't sound like they're making a part 3, but they may have to. And the price on GameStop going to $1,000 can destroy the market. Then the price on GameStop going to $10,000, $100,000, $1 million can just like be a nuclear bomb dropped on planet Earth. It's a pretty crazy thing. Like, they could have let this thing go for $1,000, and everyone been like, "Woo! I won." But since then, in the year and change since then, we've discovered so many shenanigans with naked short selling, with swaps, with equity swaps, with it's just so nefarious that all we want now is for everything to burn. I mean, you guys are here because you're like, let's burn the system, dude. Let's burn it down and start over. And that's kind of where we are. Nobody Z, I brighten your day. Oh. Okay. Machine Head 33, where are your thoughts on Ader? I think they're a squeeze play. I'm not personally invested in them. Like the money I would have spent on Ader, I have on Be Big. I'm still losing big on Be Big. Come on, Be Big. Do your shit. The guy kept asking me about calls on the 14th. Nothing's really happening with him so far. So just still waiting. Just waiting and waiting and waiting. Chud McGruff Cakes. Still a good name. So the silver lining when you mess up and we get second intro is that we get a third intro during the outro. Bounce birthday. No second intro. No second intro. We're going to go on a whole week. No second intro. That is, I have meditated on it. I have envisioned it. There's going to be no second intro. Because I think I actually did like 3 intros with Josh the other day, which is just embarrassing. First, I had it on the Zoom, and then I switched over to the big and started an intro, and then I redo the intro after introing, and then I left the Zoom again, and yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess. But I'm glad Josh could stop by. So there you go. LMNOP ripping after hours. You guys are goofy. Okay. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. P Longstock, Pultibot GME. Yep. Rob Lucky, watch Captain Ron and inspired me to plan a beach trip. Captain Ron is such a beautiful movie. It is just, if you haven't seen Captain Ron, it is definitely like a family cult favorite. Just brilliant movie all around, and everyone should watch Captain Ron at some point in their life. And yeah, why not? Why not spend 2 hours watching Captain Ron, and then all of a sudden you're like, maybe I should sell everything and buy a sailboat and go sail the Caribbean. Not so bad. I grew up with a kid whose uncle founded Rocksport Shoes. in the early 90s, sold Rocksport to Nike or Reebok or someone for hundreds of millions and just, retired. And he spent that money on what was at the time the largest private sailboat in the entire world. And he retired all of his friends and all the family who wanted to and basically put them on that sailboat, and they just sail the world every day, all day, year round. And man, what an awesome way to go. When I was in 8th grade, the boat came into to Eagle Harbor here on Bainbridge, and it was the size of a ferry boat. It was just gigantic. And so I climbed around the boat with my friend, and you open up a hatch, and there's there's 4-wheel drive trucks. Open up a hatch, there's speedboats. Open up a hatch, there's surfboards. It was just incredible. And this dude sails the boat all day, year round, goes port to port to port to port all over the world with his best friends and his family. And then every 2 years takes it to the Netherlands, has it completely retrofitted for a few months, and then he goes on sailing again. What a pretty awesome way to retire. There's folks who get that kind of money and power, and then they just become dicks and they want more. I don't know. I want to see myself as the type of person who just buys a big ass sailboat and just sails with my friends and family. That just seems like a really great way to go about life. Don't you think? Certainly it's better than being a dick, that's for sure. Anyway, I love it. Captain Ron's awesome. Looking sharp. It's good. It's a good paisley shirt today, isn't it? It's got the long skinny paisleys all over it. Fried taters here from Hawaii. How far away is the actual tech for helium-3 energy production? I always heard that fusion is energy of tomorrow and always will be. We can do it now. Lawrence Livermore Laboratory has done essentially what's called cold fusion. Still really hot, don't get me wrong. The idea of cold fusion is that you get more energy out of the act than you put in. Whereas with a car, a combustion engine, you're getting 30% of the energy you put in comes back as mechanical energy, and the rest is friction and heat and wasted and loss of energy. Even with solar only has a 30% efficiency, but with cold fusion, the amount of energy it takes to fuse these two particles together and the amount of energy that gets released after doing that is actually greater than the amount of energy it took to put in, which is why suns can last for so long. So with this helium-3 technology, so much energy comes out that you have to contain the magnetic field. And that's what Lockheed Martin and Lawrence Livermore and the University of Washington have basically all worked on and kind of conquered that about 8 years ago, 2014, so that they made working containment units. But once you can contain that energy, you can funnel that energy and convert it to electricity or whatever you need. So the apparatus is there. What we don't have is the fuel, because there's only about 25 pounds of helium-3 on the entire planet Earth that we have. So we need to go to the moon, harvest that, and so that we can actually start running these things. It takes about 25,000 pounds, I think, maybe 25 tons, to theoretically power the entire United States for a year. So picture one of those gas trucks on the highway, big fuel trucks with the flammable sign and stuff for Shell or whoever else. That much helium-3 could power the entire United States for a whole year. So that means that the amount of helium-3 that's on the moon is that there's enough energy on the moon and helium-3 to power all of planet Earth. The poorest places on planet Earth, the richest place on planet Earth, every human being currently alive could then start using energy at American consumption levels, and there's enough on the moon to power us for at least the next 10,000 years at that rate, with zero greenhouse gases and no toxicity or radioactivity as a result of that reaction. So that's why it's so appealing. The United States right now is 4% of the world's population, but we use 25% of the energy. So you can imagine the other 7.8 billion human beings on Earth being like, what is your deal? Why are you guys so wasteful? They can now become that wasteful. Like we won't have to worry about a fear of destroying the earth via, developing nations opening coal-fired plants and all of a sudden producing coal and emissions at the rates that we did 150 years ago. And that's why helium-3 is such a fantastic substance. And we need to go get as much of it as we can. And hopefully in the next 15 years, we'll start that. Bullish on Houston's second intro. Hey, HW, just wanted to say I love second and third intros. Hey, what's your take on GME filing? I just got on the stream, not sure you talked about it. Was there a new filing that I didn't know about? What? Three weeks ago, 1 week ago, 3 weeks ago. I don't see anything. SEC filings, GameStop. April 11th. A preliminary proxy statement providing notifications matter brought to a vote. Ooh, okay. Let's see what this is all about. I didn't know they filed something new. Turn off Google Earth. Okay. It's 14A. Check appropriate box. Preliminary proxy statement. No fee required. A letter from Chief Executive Officer. Thank you for your ongoing investment in GameStop. Past year marked the beginning of a systematic transformation at GameStop. We installed a new management team, strengthened our balance sheet, and hired hundreds of individuals with technology backgrounds, and refocused the organization around a singular mission to delight customers. We also allocated a significant amount of capital to our commerce business to strengthen its fulfillment network, product catalog, since last summer, making investments to insert GameStop into the blockchain, gaming, cryptocurrency worlds. We have assembled a growing blockchain team, begun establishing creative partnerships, blah, 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 the investments made, okay, blah, blah, blah. Notice annual meeting of stockholders. So we don't have a date yet for it, but it's going to be in June. All right. Which time virtually on format. You'll be able to attend annual meeting in person. You'll not be able to attend the annual meeting in person. Okay. To be admitted to the annual meeting, you must pre-register by blah, blah, blah. Elect 6 directors. Adopt approved GameStop Corp 2022 incentive plan, which I think, and then provide advisory non-binding vote on the compensation of our named executive officers, ratify our audit committee's appointment, blah, 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 as independent registered public accounting firm, and approve and amend our third amended and restated certificate of incorporation to increase the number of authorized shares of our Class A common stock to 1 billion, and transact such other business, if any, as may properly come before the annual meeting and at any postponement adjournment of the annual meeting. So, basically, they just put it on the agenda. It's happening. That vote's happening. Anything else in here that's okay. Scroll down to page 48. Woof. Okay. Authorized capital stock. Total number of shares of stock the corporation shall have authority to issue is 1,005,000,000, of which 1 billion shares of Class A stock par value of 1/10 cent per share, and 5 million shares shall be preferred stock par value of 1 cent, issuable in one or more series. Hereafter provided, the number of authorized shares of any class or classes of capital stock of corporation may be increased or decreased. Purpose of authorized shares. The primary purpose is increasing the number of authorized shares of our common stock is to facilitate the potential stock split. Our board intends to approve the stock split subject to contingent upon stockholder approval and effectiveness of the authorized shares amendment. The trading price of our common stock has risen significantly over the past couple of years. Our investors have expressed high-level interest in our common stock. Feedback from our investors indicates that a higher stock price can limit those who desire to invest in our common stock. We anticipate that the increase in the number of outstanding shares resulting from a potential stock split will reset the market price of our common stock in a range that would give our investors more flexibility in how they manage their ownership of our common stock and make our common stock more accessible to anyone who wants to invest in our company. A proportional increase in our authorized but unissued shares of common stock as a result of the authorized share amendment would also have the additional benefit of enabling the board to issue additional shares of common stock in its discretion from time to time for general corporate purposes. Stock split, stock dividends. They hammer that dividends thing home. Let's see here. If the authorized share amendment is adopted and the required vote of shareholders, such amendment will become effective on the date a certificate of amendment is filed with the Secretary of State of Delaware. So basically, we approve it. The number of authorized shares can be effective at any time that they file the paperwork with Delaware, which means they probably have the paperwork already written, and they're just vibrating, waiting for us to approve it and go, doink, pass that sucker on. And then there's legalese about how they can abandon it if they want to. There you go. All right. Word. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. So there you go. It's official. We are going to be voting on this. And if we vote yes, dividend, baby. Not too bad. I'm all about that. Scott Lumley. Hey, Houston. Would a spacecraft with living quarters that rotate produce centripetal acceleration abate health issues for long-term space exploration? Yes, quite a bit of it. It probably wouldn't do anything about galactic cosmic rays that can shred your DNA. But if you can be in a simulated gravitational environment, then you won't lose bone density, and you won't have muscle atrophy problems, and you won't have the problems associated with spinal fluid collecting in the brain, which can make you blind by flattening the lens of your eye with that added pressure. I think any trip, any long trip, like to Mars and back, to be viable would need to have a simulated gravitational environment. Just because in the 6 to 10 months it would take you to fly to Mars, not only is your DNA getting absolutely shredded by galactic cosmic rays from all directions, it's equivalent of like 10 chest x-rays a day, which is a lot. That muscle atrophy and the bone density loss is permanent. Like, you will never gain that bone density back. So you can imagine you losing 5% of your bone density every month you're in space for 6 to 10 months, and you land on Mars, your muscles are completely atrophied, you're introduced to a gravitational environment for the first time, you can't see, and you go to step off the plane and you snap a femur, and that's it. You're now hundreds of millions of miles away from Earth, and you now have a broken bone, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. So it would probably be very wise to build a large enough ship that can have a spinning, rotating living quarters so that folks can, not die. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, big dog? You would like that. You wouldn't want to be a floating dog. You'd be goofy as a floating dog, though. I would pay good money to watch a big idiot like you float in space. That'd be pretty funny. If you ever want a good video, hilarious videos, go to YouTube and look for Cats on the Vomit Comet. You guys know what the Vomit Comet is? It's the NASA plane that does the parabolic flights so that you get simulated weightlessness. And cats are always trying to land on their feet, and they don't know which way is up and down, so they just become these like perpetual motion machines. They're brilliant. Okay. Johann Skinner's is Mars basalt. Does not mean that there's volcanic activity. There was volcanic activity. Matter of fact, the largest volcano in space is Olympus Mons. Oops. Is 80,000 foot volcano. It actually literally sticks out into outer space. It's about the size of Missouri. And you can see these shield volcanoes are just gigantic on Mars. You can see how big these things. There's Olympus Mons. Here's other 3 huge shield volcanoes, some smaller ones. This is what Hawaii would be like if we didn't have plate tectonics. You can think about Hawaii and other oceanic volcanoes. If we go back to Google Earth. So Hawaii here you get our largest volcano is Mauna Loa, which is a shield volcano, just like the shield volcanoes on Mars. The difference is that the Pacific plate is constantly moving. So the hot spot stays in one spot, and the Pacific plate moves over it. So whenever an island pops up, the Pacific plate moves along, and the new island pops up. And it carries itself all the way across the Pacific. So you can imagine, gather up all these islands. All these islands get gathered up into one big giant pile, and all the ancient ones that have dove underneath the Kamchatka Peninsula get gathered up, and you can make a giant mountain of them. Then you'd probably have something similar to Olympus Mons. So Olympus Mons probably had its last eruption a few billion years ago. So Mars is smaller than us, and it has a decent size metal core, and that metal core was molten at one time just like our own. But because Mars is smaller, that molten core cooled off a lot quicker, and the heat dissipation stopped. And so these huge volcanoes stopped pumping out gases, and eventually solar winds stripped the gases of most of Mars's atmosphere, and Mars became a dead planet after that. So, here's Olympus Mons in comparison to France. It's a big ass mountain. Thing's huge. It's 150,000 square miles across, 80,000 feet tall. So if you climbed Olympus Mons, you'd be in outer space. Animation of what it looked like, perhaps erupting at one point back in the day. I don't know if it ever erupted that violently as a shield volcano. Probably more lava oozing out. Curtains of fire, things like that. But because Mars didn't have any tectonics, there was no plate to move. So the mountain, wherever the hot spot was, just kept pumping out, making more and more basalt pile up on top of each other. So, yeah. So I had lots of volcanoes on Mars back in the day. But it's pretty gorgeous. I mean, look at that little pimple. Look at that little pimple popper. Look at that thing. Like, there's Mars, and there's an appreciable sized volcano just sitting right there. You can see. It's pretty nuts. Yeah. Boop. Project Sun, Houston Wade, what other mind-blowing physical anomalies are there, like hot water freezing faster than cold water? That is a weird one that no one's ever solved. No one's solved that yet. There is, you guys ever heard of the sailing stones? For hundreds of years, no one knew how the sailing stones moved. In Racetrack Desert, Racetrack Dry Lake, what do they call it? So there's these rocks that just seemingly float across the desert when no one's watching. And they leave these little tracks behind as they move across this dry lake bed. And it weirds everyone out. And they could, for hundreds of years, they couldn't figure out how or why. It's in this really remote area north of Death Valley. And it wasn't until a couple years ago someone finally solved the case for why these stones move their way across the desert. And they're really weird. They thought, the wind blows strong enough to move these things. But some of these stones are hundreds of pounds. There's no way the wind could blow this stuff. And what they discovered was that there are times when there can be rainfall, an inch or two of water will fall in the lake, and every few years it will get cold enough that water will freeze into sheets of ice. And then a strong wind comes, blows those sheets of ice, and the sheets of ice hit the rocks and blow with it and move the rocks across the desert. And it took someone like 5 years watching the desert until they saw a big event where they moved. And these sandstones are like, it wigged out ancient Native Americans, it wigged out modern modern people, and wigged out the frontiersmen who were mining the area back in the day. They're like, what the heck? Who's moving these stones? What magical forces are happening? Turns out it's just wind and ice. You can see the same effect of wind and ice on, like, if you're a Yooper, you live in the Upper Peninsula or something, you live in Canada, and the wintertime ice flows can build up from wave action and wind and then start like crawling onto the shore and destroying houses. Same action on a bigger scale than what happens with these rocks being moved by ice flows. So, and there's some crazy ones like these ones where the rocks cross each other's paths. That's weird. Yeah. But what other weird things? What other ones can you think of? I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. There's quantum locking, which I don't really understand how it works. But basically, if you have a super cold superconductor and a charge flowing through it, you can take magnetic material and lock it into position at certain heights above the superconductor. That stuff's really weird. That's weird. I don't understand at all how that works. But someone was sending me lots of videos about quantum locking not too long ago, and it wigs me out. It's weird. Okay, I'll try to think of some more. Pacific Northwest Texan, coolest sound, hidden gem for a weekend kids adventure, hidden missile silos, ghost towns, etc. Oh man, if you can go to hidden silos, that's awesome. Not too many gems to find in Texas, although there are lots of fossils. So unless you are in the Pacific Northwest and not Texas, where are you? Are you a Texan in the Pacific Northwest or a Pacific Northwesterner in Texas? If you're here in the Northwest, there's lots of gems and gold and things you can go looking for, as well as fossils. If you're in Texas, it's pretty much just fossils. There's a few other things, but it's going to be mostly fossils to find. But there's lots of old Nike missile silos still hiding around here, and there's cool bunkers all over the place. You go to like Port Townsend, and there's Mariston Island and Fort Worden. Lots of bunkers there to go climb around. In Oregon, Fort Stevens is awesome. Fort Stevens is also the only location on the contiguous United States that saw action during World War II, where a Japanese sub shelled the base. But I love climbing around like old ruins of military bases. They're really fun. Sad Boy Incorporated News. Houston, what do you think of day trading penny stocks? I've talked about it before. Sometimes I get an itch and I find stuff that's pretty much seller boxed that I see bounce between, 1/10,000th and 2/10,000ths. And if you want to double your money, you buy it one, you sell it two. You buy it one and sell it two. You just do little chunks at a time where the purchases aren't too large. Fidelity won't let you do that, but Schwab doesn't care and they'll let you do that all day long. Fidelity goes, this is a bad stock. You're a terrible person for wanting it. And Schwab goes, I don't give a shit. I'll let you do it. So it's fun. You're like, oh, I turned $200 into $400 like that. But you can also sometimes buy that stock and then it gets put on some sort of restricted list and never sells again, and then you're stuck with it. So that happens also. Okay. Renzo Riga, Houston. If after the stock split and the dividend is issued and there is no squeeze, will that prove there are no synthetics? It could. It could prove there are no synthetics, or it could prove that they figure out a way to avoid repercussions. So there you go. Yeah. Josh Pels, I haven't received my voting update yet, so I have not been able to vote on increase of shares. That's because I just filed that paperwork. I'm sure the proxy vote will come out, my guess is in May, before the shareholders meeting. And there you go. So Johan Skinner says dredging is illegal. Okay, so you can't dredge for gold in Scandinavia. So shovel on a sluice box, it sounds like it is. There you go. Sub has the boss. Are dead people allowed to vote for GME split? I don't know. Could I buy shares in my dog's name and then have them vote in my dog's name? Is everyone going to check? I don't know. Okay, Ethan's got a whole thread here. One of three. We often claim shorts will cover soon because they can't afford to wait until after the split where they'll owe 8 times what they owe now. But they can't afford to close their positions already. 2 of 3. At this point, the only play for them is to make the problem as big as possible to ensure the economy collapse and flip the table because they lost the game. Gives them more time to hide money. Part 3, does it make you nervous that we may not be paid out our due? They won't voluntarily buy back their shares. If they are forced to buy a computer, it will tank the economy and the government won't let that happen. I'm not too worried in that if I lose, on a personal level, if I lose what I invested in GameStop, I'm exactly where I am right now financially. Like, my financial status does not change. I still live, a mediocre, comfortable, middle-class life. I can still take a couple of vacations a year. I can, work the same jobs I work. My life doesn't really change any. So if they do a shenanigan that really just ends up that I'm right back where I was, then that's what I've lost. The problem is, if they blow up the economy and a bunch of rich people lose their money as a result of them blowing up the economy, then those rich people have lost everything and are at my level finally. All I have to gain is gaining what they have. What they have to gain does not compare to what they have to lose. And so if they blow up the economy and these rich folks lose everything they have, then the people who blow up the economy are going to prison. You can't lose rich people their money and expect to get away with it. You can lose my money all day long and nothing's going to happen to you. But if you lose somebody who's really rich all their money, then they're going to come after you. And they're going to send the government after you. And you are going to go to prison like Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff's crime was stealing from rich people, not stealing from poor people. If he had been doing shady mortgage broker stuff, he'd be fine because he just stole from poor people all day long. But he stole from rich people, and rich people made him pay. And that's why he's the only person who went to prison from the financial crisis in 2008. Everyone else walked away free, even who had golden parachutes of government bailouts, because they stole from the poor folks. So I'm not too worried. Like, if I'm back to where I was, then I'm back to where I was. Oh well. So the system is designed not to harm the rich people. And if these guys harm the rich people, they're screwed. That's the way it is. G-Font sent super chat. No, new GameStop filing. We just looked at it. All right. We got it. Thank you. Thank you, G-Font. YYC. William Morgan lived in Nome for 30 months. Black sand everywhere. Yes. There's tons of, all over Alaska, Washington, Oregon. Gold Beach, Oregon. Let's go to Gold Beach, Oregon, because Gold Beach, Oregon was pretty insane. Gold Beach is where the Rogue River comes out, right? Gold Beach, here we go. All right. So this is the Rogue River. Comes out here. And now there is jetties that are formed, but there's a little sandbar still that forms here. And back in the day, so we're talking 10, 20, 30 million years. I don't want to restart my thing, Google Earth. 20, 30 million years, gold is coming out of all these river systems. There's also gold coming out of the vents where the spreading ridge is, the Wannafuca plate, micron gold. And that stuff, as it gets scraped off by the continent, that stuff concentrates in the beach sands. So when you get big wave action, in the wintertime, huge waves come in, crash on the beach, it strips away all the light silica-rich sand and leaves behind the much heavier black sands, which are full of magnetite, and they're full of gold, and they're full of platinum, and they're full of lead, and they're full of micron gemstones, heavier micron gemstones like diamonds and sapphires and rubies and garnets. And so these black sands, and you can see, you can see from space that there's strips of dark sand here on these beaches. Well, late 1800s, a miner sitting on the beach here just happens to go, oh, there's this little sandbar sticks out here. Maybe I'll see if there's any gold in it. Scooped a bucket of black sand, panned out an ounce of gold out of one pan of black sand, and there was a gold rush that happened at Gold Beach for a reason. And for the next decade or so, they dug the beach like crazy and scooped up so much gold out of the black sands along the coast here. There's lots of gold sands and beaches all over the Northwest in California. So here in Washington, I have a permit to mine beach sand. So sometimes in the wintertime during nice days, I'll head out to, out here to Capollis or Ocean Shores, Ocean City in this area, and I'll mine for golden beach sands. Up by Lake Ozette, there were actually, until 1980s, active gold claims that had been grandfathered in on the national park up here, where people were actively still mining gold. And then the state made a law in 1980 banning beach mining because they were coming out with like dump trucks and filling up dump trucks with sand and driving it away and processing it elsewhere, which, in a national park, you don't want to like take all the rocks away. So you're not allowed to mine up here. But you can go, if you can get permission from the tribes. There's the Makah Indian Reservation. You can get permission from them. You can go sniping. So I may have to restart this thing because it's not loading. One sec. Let me restart you. Come back. Open up, open up, open up, open up. Give me some high definition pictures of Shai Shai Beach. Come on, dude. Open. 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 What's the dealio? There we go. All right. There we go. Okay. Go back to Washington Coast. Go back here. Okay. So you can go to places like Shai Shai Beach and Ruby Beach, which are up here. This one Ruby? This one's Shai Shai. I get them backwards. One's Ruby, one's Shai Shai. But anyway, Ruby Beach was called Ruby Beach because the gold miners there found tons of little garnets in the sand, and they confused them for rubies, so they called it Ruby Beach. And then Shai Shai, I think Shai Shai is the north one. You can go along the rocks here in the cliff and actually take suckers and stick it into the cracks and suck up all the sand in there, and it'll be super rich with gold and platinum because these waves churn up all sorts of sand, crash onto the cliffs, and then draw back, and the cliffs act like natural riffles like you'd have in a sluice box. And all the heavy material sucks down into the eddies that are formed in the cracks, and so the cracks can be full of lots of micron gold and platinum in places like this. I don't recommend going here without permission of the tribe because they'll just send a bunch of young men to come kick the shit out of you. But if you ask for permission from the tribe, sometimes they'll let you come and like snipe for gold along the cliffs and the cracks in these rocks, and maybe even pan the black sands on the beach. So yeah, there's tons of gold to be found. And if there's gold here, that means the sand beaches along Vancouver Island, there's gold. Everywhere there's mountains along Straits of Georgia, St. George Island, that this one is. Grandma and Mosby Island. No, which one is the Queen Charlotte? That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, everywhere up here, there's going to be gold. Anywhere there's a sandy beach, you're going to be able to find gold anywhere in Alaska. It's just the way it is. And the waves naturally, for millions of years, concentrate this gold into these bands of black sand. And yeah, just watch out for rogue waves. It can be cold and miserable, and you just do a lot of shoveling. If you're up in a Nome, you can use dredges and stuff on the beach. So everyone in Nome comes out and destroys little trash pumps by pumping salt water through them, and then the next year they gotta get new trash pumps. But there's just in the summertime you can mine 24 hours a day because the sun doesn't go down. So there's that Bering Sea Gold, folks, that terrible TV show, along with the other ones that just show people breaking stuff and getting in fights. But it's not just Nome that has it. Everywhere along here, the sandy beach, you can go mining for gold. as long as you have permission. So there you go. Hey, I'm only an hour behind in the chat. There we go. Get me talk a lot about gold today. Okay, Eggspit finally received a response from UK broker Hargreaves Lansdowne regarding the cash amount sitting in my Metamaterials special dividend account. They said, confirmed there was a special dividend credited to account on 23rd July 2021. These shares are traded on OTC Pink Market, which unfortunately means they are untradeable through HL. Weird. They hold a value, and the price you are seeing on your account is the most recent trading price. The price feeds to your account via third party and therefore displays the value despite being untradeable. Okay, all right. So you had 30 shares or whatever, and they're just putting like 35 pounds in as if, because that's what the price trading is. Interesting. Okay, weird. Weird, very weird. I wonder what it's going to say when they finally issue an actual dividend for that. For a second, I thought we had Mariano Rivera in here, but Marlon Rivera. Go get water. We wait. Too late now. I'm just gonna be a dry throat show today. All right, so let's scroll ahead here. Pure Chase, Houston, any fears that the GME paper hands that end up with 3 times the 5 times the shares after the split stunt MOAS share price? I mean, they could. Thing is that I think so many more shares have to be bought than any dent they could make based upon all of our stats that you know, the paper hand selling 50 million shares isn't going to make a dent in the billions that the short hedge funds would need to buy. So that's where we sit on that. We're, you know, I don't think there's enough shares paper hands could sell to make a difference. Okay. Pacific Northwest Texan, our family is interested in hedging a zombie apocalypse with gold. Should we buy broken gold off eBay, coins from the mint, or begin with a jeweler? Do we care about the coin branding? Buy at spot. Well, coins are going to cost you more than anything else, because basically coins are spot price plus about 15 to 20%. The cheapest you'll get is broken gold if you've got the ability to refine it. Because you can buy broken gold at sometimes 15 to 20% the price of the actual gold inside that material, if you're lucky, if you find the right auction. Other times you're probably paying 50 to 80% the price, and then you refine it. And once you refine it, you can get spot, which is, you know, what everyone's shooting for in the end. I want to do some gold videos for you guys. I need my former roommate to clear out the garage. I can't use the garage is full of his crap and I can't use it. So Scott, if you're watching, clean your shit out of the garage, please. So I want to do more gold stuff, but at the moment I have no space to do that gold stuff. I can show you guys. There's other YouTube videos you can watch of folks refining gold and how they do it, and it is using very dangerous chemicals. You need to make sure you have a way of cleaning the air and wear a mask. It's acids, so protect yourself from splash of acids. So it's if you have experience working in labs in college or high school and you feel comfortable doing this stuff, then, you know, give it a whirl. If you don't, stay away. You're going to end up sucking down some hydrogen sulfide and then dying in a garage, and we don't want that. So there you go. Johan Skinner's Count of Monte Cristo is available for free and Audible. There you go. Then passively listen to somebody read to you. Not so bad. Pedro's favorite book. Yeah. Okay. So how far back am I? Protege son. My dad bought me a full set of gold leaf or World Book Encyclopedias. Best gift ever prior to the internet. Heck yeah, I spent a lot of time. My mom found a set at like a rummage sale that was probably from the late 70s. So I was about 10 years old at the time. And, just sat there and just read A to Z. Read the entire encyclopedia because why not? Just suck information through the holes in your head. Robinson Crusoe, Spellbinding for Bill Coyne. Robinson Crusoe is a great book also. I mean, man, there's some really good pirate books. I went through a phase where I read Treasure Island and Seawolf, and I didn't like Seawolf that much. Robinson Crusoe, Swiss Family Robinson. There was a lot of good ones. What was the... oh, crap. I can't remember the names of all of them at this point. It's Hunted? No. I can't remember. But I went through a big pirate phase when I was like 11, and I read as many pirate books as I could. Kyle Cooper, hey, my Pacific Northwest brother, currently being snowed in Bodie. You're in Bodie? I know you would know where that is. Have a great day. Bodie is like at 8,000 feet. Really cool ghost town. Very well preserved. Down here in the Sierra Nevadas. Where are we? Mammoth Lakes. It's just above Mammoth. Mono Lake, I believe. Bodie is somewhere here. Is that Bodie? Yeah, there's Bodie. Yeah, so Bodie's at like 8,000 feet. 8,300 feet. It's a really well-preserved ghost town. It's the old mill here. But there's lots of gold that got dug out. You can see all the mine shafts. And it looks like craters. But really well-preserved town. Town hall, bunch of homes. It costs a pretty penny to go there. This is a better time of year to go than like summertime. Monkey Butt and I went there this summer. We drove through, but it's just so crowded. It's not fun to go to a ghost town when there's lots of people. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of going to a ghost town. It is a little more touristy and not as... You can't explore as well because you can't climb into the buildings because they're like the park workers live in the buildings now. But it's beautiful to see like how well preserved it is. It's a really cool town. But yeah, you're way up there, so of course you're getting snowed on this time of year. Yeah, you're up there for sure. And Mono Lake is awesome. It's a beautiful alkali lake. Nothing lives in it. But there is where's the hot river that comes out? Is this it? Crowley Lake? I think this is a hot river here. This might be it. So it's pretty beautiful. Yeah, Whitmore Hot Springs come through here. There's Long Valley. Bishop is where I ended up when my truck broke down in Nevada. This is where they took me to Bishop. So I hung out here until I could figure out how to get the broken truck home. But this side of the Sierras is really beautiful. The towns through here are just... Some of them are just epic. Where'd I go? I went from Bishop. Was it through Round Valley? I think. And I went up to 395. And you come up the highway. I think it's Paradise. And this little town is just sitting up against these giant mountains. And it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. It was like 115 degrees also. So that was kind of miserable. But then, not too far away, there's some really crazy ghost towns. Goldfield is the largest ghost town in the West. You can see how big this sucker is. 200 city blocks. At one time was such a large city that the World Championships of Boxing, the World Championship came here with... oh, shit. Oh, God damn it. I didn't have my map on. Stupid Houston. Hate it when I do that. I'm showing maps and then you guys can't see anything because I didn't bring it up. Don't. All right, go back. Okay. California. Mono Lake. Mono Lake's there. Up from Mono Lake is the ghost town of Bodie, which is here. Old mining town. I think closed around 1900 or so, 1910. So yes, beautiful, fairly well preserved ghost town. Old mill still there. Lots of old mines in this area. I guess if you guys are watching or listening on podcast, shit, I forgot to record for the podcast. That's what I forgot to do. Damn it. Okay. I'm trying to be good and hit record so I can upload that to Podbean, and it goes to other podcasts, and I just forget. Anyway, Goldfield, not too far from where Bishop is. Silver Peak, Tonopah, Goldfield. Goldfield here is 200 city blocks, and they are just gigantic. Actually, some population has returned because it's such a weird, large city to be empty that there's actually a couple of like little cafes showed up in the last decade, little tchotchke shops. But for the most part, it's just abandoned. There's no grocery stores. There's nothing like that. But the World Championships of Boxing... So Joe Gans, he was the first black world champion boxer. Let's turn off Chrome. Oops, no, turn on Chrome. Turn off Google Earth. There we go. Joe Gans, he was the old master. He was world champion in 1906. The fight was crazy. It was like 50 rounds or something for the world championship. And where's the legacy? It was crazy. How many? 42 rounds. So the world championship was 42 rounds in 1906 in Goldfield. 30,000 people showed up to watch. It was an outdoor boxing match. And the crazy thing is that the fight got postponed, and Joe Gans actually came to Bainbridge Island, to Pleasant Beach here on Bainbridge Island, and fought a warm-up round for the world championship at an old amusement park that used to be here, which is crazy to think about. So world championship in 1906 was in Goldfield. And here's another weird thing about this fight, is that his mother was asked about the prize fight, the prize money, and his mom said, Joe's going to bring home that bacon. And that is where the phrase bringing home the bacon started from and spread across the country and the world. So when someone's like, oh, I got to bring home the bacon, it came from that fight in Goldfield in 1906 from Joe Gans' mom, talking about how Joe's going to bring home the bacon. And he did. He brought home the bacon. But his previous fight was here on Bainbridge. Move up to Washington here, do our little history lesson for the day. So here's Bainbridge Island, and there's Pleasant Beach, which is a little harbor in here, shallow water, and there's a little sandy beach that comes along here. And at that time, where there is so there's some homes along here, and in this area is an old movie theater and a couple of shops. This actually used to be a giant pier that came out into the water that had a Ferris wheel and amusement park rides and things like that. And Joe Gans came to fight a warm-up for the World Championships here in Bainbridge about, I don't know, a month or two earlier than the World Championship fight in Goldfield. Crazy history. Absolutely wild that there's that connection. And Goldfield's such a cool town. If you go on a road trip and you want to go tour like the Tonopah bombing range, so the Tonopah bombing range is up here. You can get tours and see like all little craters of where they launched nukes and stuff. And Tonopah itself is a very weird town. It booms and busts with gold prices. Go through Goldfield. You can go through Beatty and Gold Center in this area. The Maragosa Valley is crazy. There's like Big Dune. Where's Big Dune? Somewhere along here near the California border is Big Dune. Is that Big Dune? Yeah, I think it might be a big dune right there. Just a big giant dune that a bunch of like bros with monster trucks and stuff just ride around their ATVs all day long. There's old crazy mines all through here, and you hop over and you're in Death Valley through here. You know, like the lowest point in the United States, and it's just screaming hot in the summertime. There's Pahrump. There's Pahrump Raceway. It is really cool through here. Yeah. And this is Walker Lake. Yeah, Walker Lake here. There's during a zombie apocalypse, you want to be in Hawthorne because this is where like the bulk of munitions are stored for the U.S. military. So you see all these. These are like munition bunkers for everything from bombs to grenades to bullets to everything else. And Walker Lake's a beautiful drive because you come along here and there's big steep cliffs that go down into the water. And this is an alkali lake, so you can't go fishing or anything here. There's nothing there, but it's pretty beautiful. I love driving through this area. It is awesome. In the summertime, it's really hot. So this is like the best time of year to go through here. Where was I going? I don't know where I was going. Sean Marcos, here's for 1 monthly tuition fee. Oh, I asked a question earlier about strike price. I'll have to find that sucker. Okay, just in my head, assuming the squeeze isn't triggered by liquidation, why will short hedge funds have to buy back all and not just enough of the shares to short us to manageable levels? All right, answer your question first, and I'll look for Sean Marcos's strike price question. They'll have to buy them all back because they'll cease to exist. Does that make sense? Like, well, I guess the investment banks can kind of hold on to some of it as a liability because when Archegos got wiped out, Credit Suisse is still like, I don't know what to do with these short positions. I don't have the money to deal with it. But the hedge funds won't exist anymore. If it gets to the point where the hedge funds have to get liquidated to buy back our stock, they're going to be liquidated to zero, and there is going to be no more short hedge fund. So that's why they won't have any ability to do any tricks. The minute you face liquidization means any power you once had, any tricks you once had, any access you once had to trading computers is gone. It no longer exists. You're screwed. So you're basically just cut off, and then your broker is liquidating everything you have to generate cash to try and buy as much of this stock as they possibly can to close these positions. And when the broker runs out, then the investment bank has to do it. And if the investment bank runs out, then the federal government has to print a bunch of cash and dump it into the investment bank because we can't let investment banks go under because that means the entire world economy is going to collapse. So that's why they just won't have the tricks up their sleeve to do that stuff because they won't have the power anymore. You do not want to be a hedge fund facing liquidation. That means someone just took the keys out of your car and they're putting handcuffs on you, basically. Okay, Sean Marcos. Okay, I'll just above here. Houston, let's assume it'll be 7-1 dividend, and I buy a January 2023 call at strike of 240. Will that strike change to 60 after dividend issued? Oh, that I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that for you. I've had strikes that split and got screwed. I had a $30 call for, well, what company was that back in the fall? And they split and they changed names. It really sucked. And my $30 call didn't change. And I basically lost my investment on that, like that. But that was a direct split and not a dividend. So, someone who knows more about the legalese behind such options, they might be the ones to talk to on that. I'm personally going to avoid any deep calls at this point, and deal with only stuff in the short term because I honestly don't know how a lot of this is going to shake out. So I personally am just going to deal with near-term calls and see what kind of plays I can do with that. That far away stuff, it's too foggy. I don't know exactly how it's going to shake out. Jonathan Owens, Houston, what's your thoughts on plasma fusion? Metamaterial is now integrating plasma fusion into the R2R process of NanoWeb. Love your opinion on it. Well, they apparently have some sort of film that allows for more energy storage in the cells of the power cells of lithium-ion batteries that makes them more efficient and cooler. So it sounds to me like Metamaterials is going into some serious tech for the future of batteries, which in the near term for lithium ion is where it's at. So, yeah, they've bought them for $20 million. I think Metamaterial right now is gobbling up patents. They've got a bunch of cash on hand from this big giant merger they did with Torchlight. They've got $500 million in cash or something. So they can go out and they can basically find these little research institutions and buy their patents, the little companies they formed out of these patents, and scoop them up and integrate them into their whole process. They've got these little fingers around the world of companies they've purchased and merged with, and they're planning something big. Their factory is still under construction in Halifax, so it can't be bad. $20 million to buy a process that seems like could make them a lot of money. Probably pretty good idea. Not too shabby. Okay, we're at 4:04. We got 20 minutes-ish, 25 minutes. Great. Have you seen Zelensky's Netflix show or his 60-minute interview? Some countries vote for a president and get a comedian. Ukraine voted for a comedian, got a president. I've seen clips of his show. I haven't actually seen his show itself. It's popped up on my Netflix recently. I heard it's a really good show, and that's why he won. People were like, I love this man, this character. He seems to be smart enough and thoughtful enough in that people trust him to do the right thing. So, yeah, I think at this point he's shown to be a hell of a man. I mean, he, new to the job, immediately basically got blackmailed or attempted bribed or extorted by Donald Trump right off the bat. Donald Trump was like, I'm not going to give you any of these weapons until you start making up some dirt on Joe Biden for me. And Zelensky's like, no. Which, that took a lot of balls. I'm not sure other world leaders would respond that way, especially fresh and new to politics like that. I think the Trump administration thought they could totally strong arm him and make him do what they wanted, and they found out that they couldn't. With a smile, he was like, no. So he's pretty incredible dude. Okay. Luke Alexander, what's the deal with the Bermuda Triangle? Why are there so many disappearances, mysteries surrounding it? Because of where it's located. Bermuda Triangle. Let's go back to the... How do I turn you back on? Go back to the Hoodoo. There. And... Oops, wrong side of the country. Bermuda Triangle. So basically it's this triangle between the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and Bermuda, which is a lonely little island sitting out here in the middle of the Atlantic. This is the hurricane land. So hurricanes come roaring through here and mess everyone up. Back in the day, we had no satellites. We had no planes flying out here. We had no idea that there were storm systems. And so people would sail out here and just get absolutely ravaged by a storm, and that'd be it. So there are probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of missing ships sunk to the bottom of this part of the Atlantic because of the crazy storms that happen in here. So that's the basis of the Bermuda Triangle, and also it became much more of a big thing to talk about, basically because of Looney Tunes cartoons. Like the basis for so many children's cartoons, plot lines of children's cartoons surrounded the Bermuda Triangle and like weird, mysterious things, Lost City of Atlantis, other like fantastical things, that it actually became ingrained in our minds as children as a much more important geographical place than it actually is. And that's what you got. So there's a funny tweet that was like, when I grew up, I thought the Bermuda Triangle was going to be much more important or bigger deal than it is today. Okay. Oh, shit. Squamps, I'm still suspended from Twitter for making a diarrhea joke. Jokes at Robinhood. Post Moas, I'm minting my warning message into an NFT. Just make a mustache account there, Christopher. Whoop. Why? Because your tweets cracked me up, man. It's so funny. Okay. All right, let's get in here. And I just got cut off, so now I'm stuck about 3:20 p.m. in later, which is only about 40 minutes behind. Not too bad. Alexander Hawkeen, Houston. What the hell's going on with the ruble and Russian economy? I think the ruble's been fairly manipulated at this point. So the ruble dropped really hard. The Russian government is requiring folks to make purchases of their goods with rubles, which I think is backfiring some because the contracts were written in such a way that they have to pay, has to be paid with euros or US dollars or whatever. And so it sounds like Germany's going to cut off all natural gas from Russia. And just tough it out because that's what you do. Then Russia gold standard their ruble, saying if you want to buy gold from them, you have to buy it in rubles and this much rubles for gold. It may work with India and China and a couple other small fringe countries, but the rest of the world has sanctions on Russia where no gold can be traded, and B, have seized 30% of Russia's gold reserves. So Russia's 600 billion in gold reserves, like 200 billion of it is in foreign banks and seized by those foreign banks. So I don't think there's going to be too much gold buying going on from Russia in this case. And getting rubles for your gold doesn't serve Russia well because they can't use those rubles anywhere else. Right? It'd be like, remember that Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they make Patty's dollars or Patty's bucks or whatever, and they try to make their own currency, and they discover that they can mint a bunch of Patty's bucks and receive a bunch of Patty's bucks, but doesn't mean they can actually like buy other stuff with it. If you are Russia and you're getting a bunch of rubles for everything, then you can't actually use those rubles outside your country because no one wants them. So the price on rubles is kind of like GameStop in that the volume is really, really low. Therefore, the price could be manipulated fairly easily with just a little bit of movement one way or the other. Whereas if folks were actually actively trading with Russia and accepting rubles for things, the price on rubles would just collapse because, like, oh, you want some goods from us? You're going to have to pay us 15 times what you expect to pay in those rubles because we don't want them. So you have to give us a boatload of them to make up for the fact that no one wants them. So I think the ruble, like what you see as like the traded value of the ruble, is kind of an optical illusion at this point because you don't want a ruble. I don't want a ruble. No one wants rubles. They want hard currency. And so, yeah, I think that's how it's happening. Junior AMC all the way. It's hard. J-Ram call the way. Junior AMC all the way. Did you say Mars is smaller than Earth? Yeah, Mars is about a third the size of Earth, maybe smaller than that. Has about 1/3 the gravity. Much smaller. Catherine Drennan, Houston, I am about half hour behind your live show. Sorry if someone asked this. What happens if Robinhood decides to pull the buy button again? Will it have the same effect as it did last year? I don't think so, because Robinhood has hemorrhaged customers like crazy. And most of the folks in these short plays do not use Robinhood anymore. They've transferred out. They open up new accounts. They sold what they had in Robinhood and moved over. I don't think Robinhood has the power of controlling retail investors they did last year. They basically shot themselves in the foot, and that's why their stock price is just because they've got so little assets under management at the moment as a result of customers just bailing on them. Black Udon calls on D's and nuts to the moon. 2 weeks, bro. Do you think there's gold in Tucson? There's tons of gold in Arizona. More copper than gold, but there's a lot of gold mated with copper in Arizona. So some of the best metal detecting areas you'll get in Arizona is in southern Arizona. Prescott, you can go north into the mountains here. Lots of gold in this area. These were all gold towns at one time. Prescott, Arizona, the little creek that passes through the middle of town, you can actually pan out ounce-sized nuggets out of the little dry creek that runs through town. My dad was married once before he married my mom, and his first wife, I don't know if we call it like stepmom once removed. I don't know what term that would be. She has a little art gallery right by the creek, and we could stop off and pan gold out of there. Anyway, go to southern Arizona. Along was it I-40? Quartzite, this area. There's lots of areas to go metal detecting for gold, and people dry wash out here for gold nuggets. So you can see all these spider veins, what I want to call it, spidering veins of dry washes that come out of here, leave behind lots of gold nuggets. And then if you get into southern Arizona, into Tucson, this area, you can see there's lots of mines out here. You can just see it from space. This is a huge mine right here. I'm not sure what they're mining. Probably copper, because this is the copper state. But most of these copper mines also have a significant byproduct of gold that comes out of them. And lots of quartz veins to be found. So yeah, there's lots of gold to find through this area. I think I put some, let's turn on the Ghost Towns map here. That's a good way to find. Yep, okay. So all of these places here are basically all former gold mining towns. And you go into Mexico and there's silver and copper mines like crazy just across the border. But Ruby, Arizona here, this is an old gold mine town. You can see there's old mine remnants there. Oro Blanco, same thing. You get across into Washington Camp and Kentucky Camp. These are all old gold mining towns up in these hills. And so you can see these little white bits here. These are old holes dug in the ground, and this is piles of ore and detritus that get left behind. There's lots of gold to be found in here, and a lot of this is Bureau of Land Management land, also a national forest. So you can go prospecting and look for everything you want out there. Yeah, so there you go. Kit Peak's awesome. Lots of really big telescopes. Probably the biggest collection of telescopes outside of Mauna Kea for important telescopes in the U.S. is here at Kit Peak. Great place to go. My friend Josh operates a telescope there. Yeah, so there's lots. I mean, these are all ghost towns. I've been to maybe a third of them and cataloged them, and I want to go to the rest. These are all the ones that interest me, and I want to update all the old ghost town books written in the 50s with modern takes on all of them. So I make a ghost town encyclopedia if I can. But it fills up this map, so let's put doink, take those off of there. And then, now a nice clean map where we can see the topography really well. Okay. Verinokim, is there any updates on Sears holding? Oh yes, there actually was. Someone sent me a thing. I mean, it's from Seeking Alpha, so take that with a grain of salt. But basically said that they've almost wrapped up their bankruptcy, and that the judge in the case is actually retiring and referring the rest of it to a mediator, something like that. Let's see here. News. Oh, here it is. Okay. So turn off the Google Earth. Let me copy this. I'll throw it into the chat. Boom. This is from Seeking Alpha, so take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, the judge is appointing 3 mediators to resolve litigation against Eddie Lampert, who was the CEO. Sears is still short $62 million to be available to exit Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but they still have a lot of holdings that seem to be much more than $62 million. So I'd be curious to see exactly how that happens. But this person still says sell your Sears holding. Remember, Seeking Alpha has been completely compromised by Citadel, so they're telling you to sell. Well, all of us only have a few dollars in it anyway. If we've got thousands of shares because the share price got hit so hard that I mean, they're saying sell, but here is the price. Was 2 cents a week ago and is 4 cents now. So it's gone up 100% in a week. Right? Zombie stocks, man. Zombie stocks doing their zombie thing. That's why they want you to sell. So they're giving you some bad news here, but I think inside that bad news is actually this: I still rate Sears holding securities a sell. Tells me do the opposite. But you can't buy them, so may as well hold. What are you going to lose? $20? What could you gain? Upwards of $17 a share if that's truly what the assets are sitting there waiting to be sold. So, not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed. I still view it as an experiment to see what happens with the zombie stocks when all this explodes. Okay. Michael Anthony, I guess you don't talk about stocks or sectors or go over charts. All this other talk isn't helping anyone. Wise moves into stocks like buying tea this morning, which is up even more since the close. I don't do TA. It's wizardry that I don't do it. Because I don't spend all day staring at charts. I don't give a shit about charts. I will talk about the fundamentals behind things, big mechanics at play in the market, like sort of like a macroeconomic scale. But I don't focus on individual stocks and draw little pennants and breakouts and cups and handles and all those things. To me, like, I love some of the guys that do TA. I respect them a lot. But I see a lot of it as just numerology and just pattern recognition. About half of all predictions with TA are wrong and half of them are right. It just seems like a 50-50 coin flip to me. So no, I don't quite do that stuff. I'll talk about bigger picture, and then also people distract me, thankfully, from just talking about stocks all the time, because I can't just focus on talking about a stock all the time. I enjoy the tangents and the weird little paths and stories that you guys get me on. It's more fun that way. Because what else is there to talk about, right? Jamie S., what the heck is gold spot? Spot price is the price at which you can sell gold for as an owner, which is usually, think market price minus a couple percent is spot. You may have some shady gold buyers that will give you a lot less than that. Screw those guys. If you've got pure gold, you can sell it for spot or close to it, and that's the market price for gold. They buy it from you as a holding, not as a profit maker. So if someone's trying to buy your gold at less than 95% market price, they're ripping you off. Big dog, hush. No need to bark at anything ever. You can just be silent at all times, and then everyone will love you more. Yes, isn't that right? Isn't that right, you big doofus? Yeah. Jamie S., where do you buy gold at its market price that you physically get to keep in your home? Lots of places. You can buy online. You can buy it in coin form. You can go to gold brokers and buy it. There's lots of folks you can buy it through. Those Gold Buyers of America guys will sell it to you for way too expensive and buy it from you for way too cheap. Big dog, shush. So all right, I got 6 minutes, folks, and then I gotta get to the post office. I forgot to mail all of my stickers. Which, mind you, if you want a Houston We Have a Problem sticker, you want one of these, self-addressed envelope, stamped self-addressed envelope to the P.O. box in the description, and I will send you a sticker. I got 55 of these left, so I've given out almost half of them. So yeah, send them. And thank you, Swamps. I haven't finished these guys, these weird milkshake ones, but the chocolate hamburgers were delicious. Holy smokes, were those good. Thank you. Yeah, and people like to send me weird stickers along with their little envelopes, and I'm going to have to, like, Moas, buy some old hippie van and cover them with all these bumper stickers. I don't know what to do with them. I got so many now. Okay. Cosmic Cornelius Houston, why do you think Buffett bought Barrick Gold a while back, and why do you think he quickly sold it? Not like him to buy gold, not like him to paper hand. Well, I mean, Barrick Gold is a big established gold company with multiple operating mines pumping out gold like crazy. And they've got lots of claims all over the world for opening up new mines. And they've got plenty of funding to, like, start extraction. Unlike Highcroft that needs to raise funds to be able, they need to raise, I don't know, $500 million, $1 billion to get to the point where they can start extracting this hard to get gold that's inside that mine. Barrick has the money, so when they find a new claim, they can literally just either move equipment from an old one, set up shop, and in a year they're mining. Why they sold? Not sure. I don't know why Buffett would have sold, because Barrick has huge gold holdings. Let's look at Barrick. Oops. Come on, click. Go there. So Barrick Gold has got mines like all over the world. About operations. Here we go. So they've got mines, Nevada, wherever that is. You know, they're all over. So we can just click on operations in general. Here we go. So we got mines all over the world. We've got mines in Papua New Guinea. We've got mines all over Africa. We got mines in Saudi Arabia. Got a copper mine there. We got mines all over South America. Got mines in the Caribbean. Got mines all over North America. So they're huge. Them, Xstrata, Rio Tinto. I'll think of some other big names. There's a few companies that are so huge that they no longer have to rely upon individual investment to open up mines. They're big boys. They're not these junior mines like Highcroft that need to, you know, like, oh, I need some money. They just have the money and they open up mining operations. And if you got significant claims to sell, there'll be ones you can broker claims to. They're big boys. They are, you know, just a giant company. So, yeah, gold price almost $2,000 an ounce. Goodness gracious. So there you go. I don't know what motivated Buffett to sell. Not a clue. Maybe he saw some other play and he wanted oh, hi, big dog. And he wanted to, you know, make a different play. He's like, I'm gonna get out of this for now. I can always jump back in later. Okay, I'm gonna scroll all the way down here. Raider Bo, a Biden supporter. Yikes, I'm out. Eat shit, Raider. I'm not a Biden supporter. I am just not a Trump supporter. That's that guy sucks. But yeah. Linda Wilder, Houston is a Biden supporter. Tell us why you like Biden so much. I don't. Of the 22 candidates who were running for the nomination for the Democratic Party, Biden was my 19th choice. He was not at all anywhere near the top. But when I became nominee, it's like, well, I can vote for him or I can vote for Trump, who is one of the worst human beings who ever lived. And, you know, I'm not going to vote for Trump. So, and voting third party in a first past the post system like we have in the United States is essentially a vote for the opposition. and that's not going to happen. So, yeah. Jonathan, Ukraine just accused Russia of dropping chemical weapons. Yep. That's what I heard in Mariupol. People are complaining of the air being thick with gas that's making people hard to breathe. I don't know of any other stuff about like that's come out because it's very hard to get information on Mariupol. So I'm sure more info will come out and perhaps video and whatnot. So there we go. Okay. Chicago transit minority. A lot of new folks here. Kind of sus. It happens. The trolls will come in, man. They will come in. What color Lambo are you going to get post Moas? Oh, I mean, if I get a Lamborghini, the one I think is just the coolest. Back your head up. Get your head off the keyboard. Come on, man. I can't type if your head's on the keyboard. Don't just get your face out of here, you big dork. Okay. Okay, so all right. My favorite is the Jalpa. I think it's like one of the coolest looking cars ever. Come on, where'd you go, Jalpa? Here we go. This thing is just bitching. It wasn't as like hip and with it as Testarossa. Sorry, Testarossa, Countach, but I don't know. I thought they're just really cool looking. I love the 80s styling. And then the one they built for the LMO2, the one they built for the Italian military. I'd always love one of these things also. Big giant V12 monster machines. A guy I know before he hit some really rough financial shape had just bought one of these, and then everything fell apart in his life. Maybe it's cursed. I don't know. But I thought these were rad. I love to go up skiing in the mountains with one of these suckers. But those are the Lambos I get. I don't really have interest in getting like a modern Lambo. I like stick shifts, and I can get that in older cars. And they're cooler, and you can get them cheaper, even though they cost more to work on. Because working on cars is fun. That's what I go for. That's what I get. I don't care what color. This canary yellow would be awesome for the Jalpa. They're rad. Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. All right. It's 4:30. I gotta get going. Wednesday I'm gonna have Radic on. Probably about 2:00 on Wednesday Pacific time. I'll see you guys then. And until then, I'll leave you with the Jalpa. And no, I can't. I gotta go back to the big one and then do one of these. Okay, everybody. Take care of yourself. Take care of others. I'll see you later. And bye-bye.